Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. So today we're going to continue to flip some pancakes. Now when I talk about flipping pancakes, I'm talking about the mental pancake situation. That's what I'm talking about, mental pancakes. Because our mental pancake is everything. The way that we see things, the way that we view things, the way that we assess what our situation is, it's all about our thought processes. Right, Gwen? Gwen's here too. Good to see you, Gwen. It is all about our thought processes because our thought process is the filter of our entire life. It's what determines what we see as valuable, is what we see as not valuable. You know, that simple. But like I said, when I had that little when I was meditating, this is like last week or the week before, I don't even remember when, it was so impactful. I wrote it down and then put it on my board, which is across the room from me, where I have some affirmations that I'm working on a daily basis. And I wrote it down because the door to success swings inward and not outward. In other words, when we go in, that's where the change happens so that we can have the change out. And we do it in reverse so much. We do it in reverse. And that's why I want to flip some pancakes on this whole thing, because it makes such a difference. Hey, Lucy, good to see you. So Napoleon Hill famously said, change your thoughts and you change your world. And then we had Henry Ford come along. And what did he say? If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're right also. Because these were early time, you know, in the 20th century, these were thought makers. These were the early guys in personal development, where, you know, all of a sudden it wasn't like you're a victim of your circumstance, but there's actually things that you can do about it. And this is the exciting part. This is the part that helps us to change our minds and to change our lives. When our minds change, our lives change. It hand in hand. It's, you know, it's like an apple and peanut butter. You know, it's like a hand in glove. It's like, you know, figure out whatever metaphor you like or whatever works for you. But this is a deal. This is a big deal. Margot and Terry are in the house. Good to see you. So we overthink. So this is what we do, though. This is what our normal thing is when we are not in control of our thoughts. Okay? Our normal thing is this. We overthink, we ruminate, you know, we relive, we should all over ourselves. We relive stuff that we shouldn't be reliving. We go back and we pull out the experience file and say, okay, I've got to just redo this whole thing over and over and over again. Hey, Roxanne, what? You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. We catastrophize. Do we ever? Well, this is going to happen. Well, I don't do this. And we get all wrapped up, all our emotions, overly emoting. All of everything is going toward a problem instead of toward a solution, toward the past instead of the present, toward the future instead of today. And we totally miss out on today. And we totally miss out on being able to capitalize on the great gift of today. Yeah, they call it the present for a reason, right? You've heard that before. But, you know, the other thing is we idealize, like it should be this way. That's the shoulding part. It should be this way. It could be this. And idealizing is also a nice word, by the way, for perfectionism. Because if we think everything should be in this particular lineup and it doesn't, well, our worlds just explode. Nothing's good. Nothing is great. We feel like it's just not worth it. It's not going to happen. It's not for us. It's for everybody else. You know, boom, shakalaka, screw, and we get lost in the jumble in our heads. We all have jumbles, by the way. It's like opening your jewelry box and seeing your necklaces all tangled up together. That's how our thoughts are. All of us are like that. Maybe not every single jot and tittle, but a lot of us have these little tangles of things and loops and places that we go where we're not supportive of ourselves. And I want you to think about that for a minute. If we can't be supportive with ourselves, how on earth can we expect anybody else to be? And if we get lost in this headspace of just these negative treadmill loops, this negative thinking, this where we're all or nothing, where we're shooting all over ourselves, where all of these things are happening, we can't get out of the weeds. We get stuck. We get stuck. But we don't have to. And that's the whole thing. That's what I'm talking about. We don't have to. Because at any moment in time, when we make a decision for ourselves, we can say, well, that's enough of that. Obviously, this isn't working, you know? After all these years, has it ever worked for you? Has it ever served you? Has it done anything for you? Our amygdala is only like it simply because there's no risk involved. That this is a known quantity. This is not something new. But our bodies don't like it. It's stressful, giving us cortisol, which helps us to not be able to lose weight and feeling stressful all the time. And it has all kinds of negative body chemicals that happen because of this stress. So when we start to think differently, we can start to do things differently. But, you know, we also have to recognize that our thoughts have become habitual. Most of us have habitual thoughts. We do. We want those habitual thoughts, though, to support us, not tear us down. So when we have this negative thinking patterns that are habitual and toxic and often running wild under the radar when you don't even realize it, that's when we got to start thinking about our thinking, right? What a concept. Thinking about what we're thinking. Putting ourselves into the place of saying, whoa, 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 questioning it and asking questions. You know how you did that with your kids? Wait a minute. You know, your child will just say something and start running out the door and you're going, no, wait, hold. What did you just say? Where are you going? And why do you have my best kitchen scissors or my fabric scissors or whatever? When you see what I'm saying? We catch our little ones at it. We catch our friends at it. Do we catch ourselves at this habitual negative thinking? That's the whole thing, especially because most of us have it running under the radar and we're not even aware that this is a part of what we're thinking. We're just not getting the results in our lives, right? Because our thinking is going to show up in our lives. You can write that one down. Our thinking does show up in our lives because what we're thinking about, darn tootin' we are bringing about. That's the truth. And we can't put our thoughts on the pancake diet if we're not aware of them. Can we? So I'm going to give you a quick guide on how to start flipping those thoughts because, you know, it's everything. What's going on between your ears is going out in your life, whether you see it or not. If there's toxicity up here, there's toxicity in your life as well. What we're thinking about is going to be the thing that our reticular activating system is looking for. If you say there are no solutions, then by God, you are not going to find one because you're not going to be open to seeing it. But if you say, I don't understand this, it's hard, it's difficult, but I know, I am sure, I am capable, I am ecstatic that there's going to be a solution to this problem. It will show up. It does. Hi, Amy. Good to see you. It's the truth, though. There's Kathleen. So we got to start with a couple of things. And I think I wrote down, let's see how many things I wrote down. I wrote down 7 things. So if you're a writer-downer of things, let's go. Number 1 is practice mindfulness. You knew I was going to say that, right? You don't just go through your day. You think through your day. Is this supporting the life that I want to lead? There's a good question. Is this supportive of what I want to do next? Is this going to help me meet my goals? Is this going to make me feel good or is this going to make me feel terrible? You know, start thinking in those terms and just start, you know, a little bit here and a little bit there, just kind of looking at it like, really, you're going to say that about yourself? Is this helpful? That's a good idea. And, you know, when you catch yourself and you say, hey, how does this thought, this particular thought, how does it help me get off the treadmill thought loop that we have? Or how does it help me with my life? Does it? Does it really? When we start asking those kind of questions, we are there, we are in it, and suddenly we start going, you know what? That's just got to go. It no longer serves. And then number 2 is you got to challenge your thoughts. Challenge them. Like you'll say, because here's what we do. You think blah, 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 blah. Well, I can't ever lose weight. And then that's a big one, by the way. That's a lot of what people say. Or I walk by a bakery, I gain weight. I used to say that, and by God, I did. So what happens is if we challenge those thoughts, they become habits in the first place because they've gone unchallenged. So if we start to challenge them, now all of a sudden we have a new door open, right? That's that inward door. New door opens like, oh my gosh, what if? What if I, instead of saying this, I said this instead? What if I made a decision to do this instead? What if I chose not to think about that anymore? What if I chose to take that experience and put it into the experience file only for the lesson and stop reliving this? What if I chose to do that with my energy and my time? What if I did that? I mean, come on. This is where the change happens. This is where the shift happens. And, we have things that we can do. And again, I'm going to show you some of the things. One of the things that you can do, for example, I had a woman who one time, she told me, I just can't help it. When we were talking about snacking after dinner, and she had like this awful popcorn or ice cream or something habit that she did with the kids or whatever. And I said, do this. Kitchen's closed. Because in that actually creates a new connection into your brain. We need triggers to trigger new thoughts, to trigger new habits, to trigger new ways of doing things. That does it. The other thing, a mindful mug. I told you about this mindful mug. You can find them at savingdinner.com/mug to find out why a mindful mug is so incredible. This is our first edition. You can see the one right in there. I'm going to just tell you right where it is. It's hiding. And it supports your life. It's saying, I'm going to be mindful in my meal. Instead of habituating the way you eat, you start instead to be mindful as you sit down to your Target Trifecta plate. And it changes your appreciation for the meal. It changes the way you eat. You slow down. And it changes just all the thought patterns. Everything has to shift because you've introduced a new tool to make it shift. You see where I'm going with all of that? We do the same thing with our environments. We're going to be talking about our environments, but good grief, our environments are everything. We've put together these fabulous quote decks. Freedom begins between your ears is one of them, is one of the quotes. Don't surrender to your history is another one. And how about this one? I love this one so much. We have one life to live, just one. Why aren't we running like we are on fire toward our wildest dreams? I don't know about you, but that absolutely bowled me over. Why aren't we? We get trapped in these thought loops that are just insane because they don't work and haven't worked. Let me ask you something. If you had to pay money and you had to walk into a place and this was a restaurant that you hated, absolutely hated, and every single day you walked into this restaurant, you paid good money for a meal you hated, would you keep doing that or would you change the restaurant? Would you? That's what this is. Change it. Change it. You can see more about our quote decks. We have them. This is the brand new one that just came out. It's on savingdinner.com/quote. And I'm telling you, have these little quotes out. We have little stands for them. Have them out. Let them do their work for you. Because even if you just look at it and you're not consciously saying, hey, I see this, it's going to do its work. We need to be running away from these thoughts that are holding us back and running toward a life that lights us up. We can't do that if we keep on in doing the same thing. We have to start practicing mindfulness. And that's exactly what it is. Think through your day. Challenge your thoughts. That's number 2. Challenge those thoughts. And number 3, is if you're trigger happy, like when I say trigger happy, like, oh, that's a trigger. I see the Oreos, it's a trigger. Then figure out something that you can do to get the triggers out or create a strategy around it. So here's two things. Oreos. Okay, let's go with Oreos. If that's a trigger, I'm sorry. So let me just give you this one. So here, if you have a trigger and it's Oreos and you can't get them out of the house because of the family, you go get your sticky notes. Here you go. Here's a sticky note pad. And let's say that you have a goal of, you're saying, yeah, just let's just say I'm just trying to lose 10 pounds. Okay, fine. Then what you do is you go through, and in your pantry where there's things that are triggers to you, you put a sticky note on there. And I take a sticky note and then put some packing tape on top of it and tell your family, if you ever touch it, I'll cut your hands off. No, I mean, whatever you need to say, just be dramatic, but just let them know, I need this for me. Or move and have another pantry for them under lock and key if you need to. Or ideally, just get that crap out of the house. But I have to say, you've got to set your scenario up for yourself on how you can do it. We all have triggers. Triggers. We all do. And it's how you strategize with them. You don't just say, oh, well, I'm just, sunk. No, you're not. Figure it out. You're smart enough to do that. Number 4 is journal. Oh, goodness, have I ever said anything about journaling? This is the jumble. Remember the jumble? And you know what trumps that jumble? You know what helps to get you into the place of being able to take that tangle and untangle it all? Gratitude. It lights everything on fire. It puts you into a place of your beautiful self, where the empathy lives, where your higher self lives, where your connection with the Holy Spirit is, where your soul is. This connection is grounding, and it's peaceful, it's calming, and it's perfection, because that is who you're connecting with is perfect. So when we allow for that with our gratitude in our journals, it calms us down instantaneously, and it brings us to a really beautiful place that we all need to do. It's a sacred place, it's a sacred time that we have every day with ourselves when we take the time to journal. And by the way, that hand-brain connection is intense, absolutely connects you up with everything that's going on. And when I write the show notes, I write my show notes out by hand every single day. And I send them to Amber, so she's got them. So when she does the show notes, you get a good sense of it. But when I do this, I connect with the material because I only write out stuff that makes sense to me. And I'm hoping that it makes sense to you. This just makes all the difference in the world. Number 5 is to create affirmations specifically to address these negative loops. I am capable. I am able. I am stronger than. I know. I am more than enough. Come on. I am more than enough. You are more than enough. Everything that you need is right here, dwelling inside of you. The power that you need in your life is here. It's not outside somewhere. It's not like need a new guru, or you need this or that, or the perfect plan, or all of the things. You don't. You need the wisdom that you have inside, the wisdom to connect, and the wisdom to ask good questions. And we all ask good questions when we dare to ask a question in the first place. It makes all the sense. Number 6 is environmental support. I already told you, mindful mug all the way. I love mindful mugs because immediately when you pull it out of the cupboard, you immediately think, yes, mindfulness. Immediately. No ifs, ands, or buts. No slinking back into the dark shadows of these negative loops. No, mindful. Okay, dinner. Yes, mindful. Because mindfulness makes a difference on the scale as well as in your life. And because we are the Daily Dish Show, helping you get vibrancy back into your life, heart, mind, body, and soul. It's not just about your jeans or your color of your lipstick or the fact that you're, whatever. It's none of that. It's all of who you are and how it shows up in your life with everything that you do. A vibrant life is lived that way, not the way of a pair of jeans, ever. or a bathing suit or any of that other stuff. But yeah, be proud of your body. Get everything that you need, from yourself, right? We can get everything we need from ourselves when we understand that it is already inside of us, already dwelling. Get your environmental support from the things around you, from your quote deck, from your mug, from your community. And so here's what I wrote my notes. How about if I take a look at them? So here's a couple of things. Remove and replace. Remove the things that are causing you to stumble in your life. If they're not supportive, then they're not encouraging. It's not going to help you. Remove and replace. Remove the clutter from your desk and put a quote from a quote deck instead. Remove a couple of extra chipped mugs in your cupboard and put a mindful mug so it reminds you of who you are. And at night, when it's time and you're starting to think, oh, that popcorn, kitchen's closed, remind yourself of who you are. You're bigger than that. You shouldn't allow, and none of us should, and I shouldn't be shoulding on you. None of us want something else to run our show. We don't. So why do we give our power away to some popcorn? Why do we give our power away to ice cream? When we know after we've indulged in that ice cream, even probably halfway through, we're thinking, I shouldn't have done that. We don't want to live that kind of life. We want to live our lives on purpose with the quality of life that we want. That's important. And the last one is, of course, change your activity to affect change in your thinking. There you go. Once again, you're going to clap your way out of it. You're going to shift your scenery so that it's supportive, and you're going to shift your thinking when it comes up because you are now aware. As it comes up. Think about this, and just a quick analogy. Years and years ago, I was selling my house, and there was a leak that I did not know about. It was in the back of the cupboard, and when I was cleaning out the bottom of my sink, there was a big bucket kind of a thing of cleaning supplies that I used irregularly that I kept there. And it was just full of water. I didn't know about that. But here's the thing. When you have awareness, you're not going to get the damage. I had all the damage of all of that because there was no awareness. Had I decided to clean out underneath my sink earlier, which I should have, I could have avoided all of that damage because it cost me thousands of dollars instead of a quick, $50 call the plumber and fix it thing. These are the things that we need to do because remember what Plato says, an unexamined life is not worth living. And your life is definitely worth living. You just maybe haven't gone to the place of examination. When we go to the place of examination, we can figure out the things that need flipping and the things that need underscoring, the things that need emphasizing, and change our minds on these things because we're not robots. We're people with free wills, with beautiful souls, with communities all around us. And when we make this decision to start flipping this stuff and to get out of our own way, that's where transformation is born because it's right here between your ears where all the work is done. I'm inviting you to try these things because I promise you it is a game changer. My whole life has changed because of these things, and I know yours will as well. I have to just tell you right now. One is I so appreciate you, and I appreciate the fact that you show up every single day here. You buy our supplements and our products, and that you are a vital part of this community. I don't take it lightly or for granted. So I just want to make sure that you know that, and I'm saying to you, thank you. Number two, I love the fact that you are there for each other. This is what true sisterhood looks like, and you are the sisters. The way that you love each other, the way that you care for each other, the way that you support each other, and you're there for each other. And that's my expectation of you. And when I see this in the group, half the time I end up crying like, aren't you so well? Aren't you just the best people ever? You are. So I just want to put that out there. So thank you for that. Thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate you. Peace be with you. I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, You are the author of your own story. Until next time.